Well, this one became quite an infamous little sign. I mean, how ridiculous this whole 6-7 thing is. Completely and utterly ridiculous. I've been trying my best to stay as busy as possible. There's been some really bad things going on at the time of putting this video together. I'm resetting my bench back to the classic look, because when I do the diesel destruction test, we will be going full retro. But you're probably wondering, Leo, why has it taken you so long to take a look at the classic Thomas 3-pack here? Why have you written good lines on that pack? Warning. The warning on this video has been removed, and this video is intended for people who have a mature mindset. If you're a snowflake style of person, this video is not for you. I've written good lines because this is only one of the many of these 3-packs that I've purchased where it seems like the line work on the Thomas the Tank is in a good position. And with Bubble now assisting me, thank you Bubble. Unfortunately, I've only been able to find one of these where I feel the line work is up to a good enough standard to show. And I've only found one of the twin packs where I feel the line work is also good enough to pull out a box and show you. And even on this Thomas here, I could argue the yellow around the driver's cab is printed a little bit too far forward and a little bit too high. But hey, beggars can't be choosers. I know you'll say, well, that's the way it rolls, Leo. That's just the way it is. Well, it shouldn't be the way it is. And I remember when Thomas All Engines Go came out, the first of the motorized versions, I found a lot that were like this. It was a very common error. The red line work is way too low, running into the running board. The yellow around the driver's cab is off as well. It was ironed out in the end, but it took too long to be ironed out. And also the 3-packs, and this is a clanger. I found a lot of these that look like that, and to me that's just completely and utterly substandard. So just imagine how much I can flog that on eBay for. Wow, it'd be a lot of money. So the big question here is, I think the line work on this side is okay, but what does the other side look like? That's what we're about to find out. Before I unbox this beautiful Thomas here, let me just point out to you what I am looking for as a basic requirement of this red line work. Very basic stuff. This isn't rocket science. I'd like to see the red line work separated away from the running board. Okay, so this one here is just separated. If anything, the red line work, it would have been nicer if it was printed up just a fraction higher. At least the yellow around the driver's cab is done in the right position. But to me, this is one of the best that I've found, and I had to fight to find this. Let me just bring in two examples of what I very commonly find. I'll tell you what, I've opened up a massive bunny hole looking at this. Okay, so on this one here, the red line work here is dragged into the running board and it's colliding with the running board. This one here seems to be okay, but the one at the back here, under the coal bunker, is also drooped down. It's like it's printed wrong, and it's dragged into the running board as well. Let me bring in another example. I've got so many of these which have been done in this fashion, it's not funny. Okay, here's another one. Okay, the front section here seems to be okay. This one here seems to be on the tilt a bit. It's colliding here at the back, touching the running board here, and this one here is definitely drooping right down where the bottom line is basically sunken right into the running board, and that looks wrong. So please tell me if you think this is satisfactory. Now that you've seen it, can you unsee it? If you've purchased one of these, take a look at your Thomas, the 80th anniversary one, and see if your line work is done correctly on both sides. I need to unbox this in one foul go, and I'm going to do it in a fairly conventional way, which is going to be very boring, but along the way I'll discuss with you some of the very curious things that I've found out, because it made me look at many other people who are reviewing this Thomas, and it was very interesting, some of the things I noticed that were going on. I'm trying to find where the sticky tape is to relieve Thomas from the box here, and I think the more I looked, the more I started to ask myself, my God, what the hell is going on? Okay, pull this out here. God, it feels strange doing something conventional. Okay, and I'll just... As you can see, I'm not very good at conventional unboxing. Oh, there's tape here. And, I mean, I thought to myself, I'm so late in bringing this to YouTube, I'm not going to have a different bend on it, but boy oh boy have I got a bend on this, and we're going to eventually unbox a lot of these, and we're going to have a very careful look at what's going on. Okay. Oh, this is such a fight to get out. I wish I had my military grade chicken back and it died. Okay, you need to see this without me tinkering, altering or swapping out. I've looked at so many people looking at this online. Okay, I've got the Thomas out. Okay. And quite a few times I notice when people are reviewing this collectible, this is not a toy, this is a collectible, is they might hold it like this, and in the end you only ever see this side of the Thomas. Okay, this is the really nice side. Now I picked this one to be my review Thomas because I feel it's been done correctly. Let's take a look at the other side. What do you think we're going to find? Can you see the problem? Can you see the problem? I'm over it. I'm freaking over it. If this was the side that was presenting to me in box, this wouldn't have been one I would have unboxed as a prime example. And if you're having trouble seeing the problem here, is this red line work here is drooping down and colliding with the running board here. There should be a gap, and it should be parallel running along the Thomas here with a gap all the way along. It is drooping down, it is colliding with the red running board there. I'm not pulling any tricks here. I've got quite a few of these now. It's been a struggle to find these, and all I'll say is this was the only one so far. I'll just say I've got over 15. I'm not going to tell you the exact number that I've got. It's the only one that I found that presented with what I called the line work in a fairly respectable spot. Okay, what I'm noticing on these is quite interesting is the weathering effect, that mottling effect on this Thomas is very different across the different models. Hey, if you're a collector, you're going to get excited. I'm also noticing the white running board, the way it's been sprayed on, it seems to be a different method they've done for this versus doing the line work, is you'll often see the lamp. You can see the red coming through. It's been undersprayed, so when they've sprayed it, like they've come in one direction, but they haven't come in at an angle to get round the lamp in a sense. I've noticed the eyes being printed a little bit differently as well. Look, variation is the spice of life, but sometimes, man, it's really important to get the line work done correctly. The yellow around the driver's cab is another contentious issue, but this one's actually presenting good on both sides. Okay, so I've often seen the line work where it's not in the right spot. To me, you've either got the right line work looking like that in the right spot, and to me, that there has got problems and is in the wrong spot. When I looked a little bit more closely into what was going on here, as I may have said already, I looked at a lot of people who were showing this Thomas on YouTube. Some people review a toy, they're holding it with one hand, and they might be holding it like this, and then to see the other side, you only often just get a glimpse. But it was enough to let me see there were problems going on. And I took a lot of screenshots of people showing this Thomas on YouTube. Sometimes people would hold it in their other hand. I'm right-handed, so for me, holding it in my left hand isn't feeling as comfortable or natural. I mean, as you know, I often hold things with both hands because the camera is held up by itself, and again, they would just flash the other side like that, and you would not see it clearly. But all I've got to do is see that, and I can see there's a problem, as you can see on that one there. But some people use turntables, little turntables. Some people presented Thomas, you know, he's like, oh, this is my Thomas 80th anniversary, blah, blah, blah. Some people presented it like this. This is my Thomas 80th anniversary, blah, blah, blah. And some people presented it like this. And from everyone who presented this Thomas here, and I've got lots of screenshots, sadly, I couldn't find one that presented with good line work on both sides. I know there'll be people who say, but Leo, that's the way it is. And the joke at the moment I've got is, if you've got one of these and the line work is perfect on both sides, well, flog it on eBay for $1 million. It's going to be a fairly rare Thomas. To show you a Thomas All Engines Go out of box, which has got the line work, that's the way it should look, even though I could argue this yellow line here is a little bit back because I can see blue next to the black there. But beggars can't be choosers, and often are presented like this. This is the other side, the misprint side, where the red line work is too low, colliding with the running board. And also here, this yellow line work, which should be up higher, never went up to touch the cab roof. Very, very common to see this type of line work error, but it did get ironed out. Mind you, Thomas All Engines Go got ironed out as well, thank God. not before time. Hey, this is my Pull Tracks Thomas, and I might have made it the Pull Tracks Thomas because I always thought there was problems with the line work. And this is Classic Trackmaster. The lines on this side, take a look at that there, the red lines. Memorize where they are. I believe they're too low. And when we take a look at the other side, look at that there, okay? Yeah, so it's quite a large gap here, and it's riding up high here, almost to the edge here. So I believe this is printed too high. And just to go back to the other side again, this is unaffected because it's been playing in the pool. That's too low. But hey, variety is the spice of life. The glory of Classic Trackmaster, and when you think about Classic Trackmaster is nobody ever asked for this to be changed. What we got after this was Trackmaster 2. It was all squashed, distorted, different track system. Acted more like a roller coaster. It was meant to be faster and blah blah blah. No one asked for that. Everyone was actually quite happy with this, and that's why we call this Classic Trackmaster. I thought the track system to this was excellent, although it was different to TOMY Blue, of course. Anyway, it is my Pull Tracks Thomas, and because it is a cherished Thomas in my collection, and an important one, I feel, I'll treat it very gently, of course. To give you an example, this might be cruel to do this, of the way the Thomas linework should look like, and this is the die-cast 2014 Mattel-made Thomas. It was the heirloom, family heirloom Thomas. Without laughing, of course, I'll say that word. It's a beautiful rendering of the CGI Thomas. I've never showed this on my channel. I think everyone had a go at reviewing this, so I thought, well, why bother? Why do I need to add any more to what was said? But to look at this is very important when I'm talking about line work, because the line work on this is done correctly, and there is that separation between the running board and the red line. Oh, mind you, the running board's got the beautiful white there, and it makes the big difference. But, you know, when it's done right, it is completely and utterly spectacular. To get your head around where the 80th anniversary Mattel-made Thomas lies in relation to its previous incarnations, I've made a very simple lineup, but we won't get too heavily invested in this. I suppose this lineup of battery-powered Thomases, some might say it's the evolution of Thomas, others may say the de-evolution, and the first one in this lineup here is something that continues on to this day, basically unchanged. And before I go one by one, which one of these Thomases is sticking out like dog's balls? Sorry to say it like that, but there's one of these that just doesn't seem to fit in with the others. I'll try to get through this in one take. It's going to be tricky. Okay, the first one is the all-time classic TOMY Thomas. It's a sort of Thomas toy that played like that. Didn't crunch the gearbox when you played freewheeling like that. Very much a classic Thomas. It's still a Thomas you can get today in the Japanese marketplace. This one's made in Thailand. I'm making a point about that because of the one we're going to look at next. I haven't got a modern version of that in a sense, the one that they still make today, but I dare say not much has changed, and that's the good thing because this is the definition of a classic Thomas. Next to it is Hit Toy Company Thomas the Tank, and it's a very curious one when you look at that and you compare it to the TOMY one, and then you start to realise it's basically a clone of the TOMY Thomas, and the Hit Toy Company Thomas is actually made in China. It's free wheels like that, so you're not going crunch, crunch, crunch. It was very much the golden era of the Thomas the Tank playsets and toys. It was the greatest time, the classic Trackmaster era. Different track system versus TOMY. Nevertheless, it was a good track system. I liked classic Trackmaster a lot. I think a lot of you out there liked it as well. I think it'd be very highly collectible. Next to it is, I'll just call it Mattel's take of the sort of same Thomas, but as you can see, it's been redesigned. There's been a bit of dumbing down going on. It's still free wheels like this, and from here on, we're going to use the word dumbing down a lot more because that seemed to be the game that goes on from this point onwards. Nevertheless, this era of classic Trackmaster was still good, but not as good as the Hit Toy Company era. Then it got replaced by, oh my goodness me, and it's weird, I'm starting to not like Trackmaster 2. Trackmaster 2, and now listen. And it's hard to get back into its parking position. Yeah, I could say lots about this, which is not nice. Although there was great variety in what was being delivered, and some people will say, oh, but we liked roller coasters and all the rest of it and the speed and blah, 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 blah. Nevertheless, it was quite a distorted version of Thomas the Tank. Mind you, we start to love it when the next thing that came along, and I'm going to call it Thomas All Engines Go. You could call it Trackmaster 3 in a sense as well, I suppose, if you're going to be fancy. And this thing is just like the abomination. Okay, so we've got the crunch, crunch, crunch in the gearbox. It was just so different. It was like the babyfication of the whole brand. I mean, you could talk for hours about how wrong it was. We won't, but you can. Okay, and then we have the glory in a sense of what's being produced now, and this is in 2025, and I'll call it a Trackmaster. I'm calling it Trackmaster 4, but this is a bit of a cheat because this is from a Greatest Moments pack, so we've got the white running board, blah blah blah. But nevertheless, apart from the grinding gearbox, I very much like what's going on there. But boy oh boy, can't we go back to Hit Toy Company Thomas? Okay, I've lined these Thomases up on their respective track systems. I'm getting some strong, good vibes about Classic Trackmaster, I can tell you. And you can see how different the TOMY Playrail Blue track system is versus everything else. I know a lot of people have different names for the different eras of Thomas here. I'm just going to let you know the very simple way I look at this and call it. And the first one's fairly self-explanatory. Of course, it's going to be TOMY Blue Playrail system. It's really different to anything else, and it sits all by itself away from everything else. Then I'm going to call this one here Classic Trackmaster or Trackmaster 1. Okay, and I've already discussed that there's a better version of this than the other one, and it's the Hit Toy Company era, and it's about 2005, I believe. If you're going to be a hardcore collector, that's what you want to get. But I'm going to call that one Trackmaster 1. Some people call it Classic Trackmaster, and they're correct in saying that as well. Then we get Trackmaster 2, and some people call this Evolution, I call it De-Evolution, whatever you want to call it. I call it Trackmaster 2, and some people will call this Motorized as well. There's all sorts of different names people give it. After 2, what comes after 2? I say 3, so I call Thomas All Engines Go Trackmaster 3, as dumb as that sounds. Evolution or De-Evolution, you tell me. I think it's De-Evolution. And what comes after 3 is I'm calling the Thomas 80th Anniversary Trackmaster 4, only for the fact that 4 comes after 3. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of a comparison between an era of Thomas stuff that I really like, and of course I've already given you a hint here, the Hit Toy Company era of Thomas stuff. Okay, I've actually got 2 Troublesome Trucks, which are essentially from that era. Okay, I'd like to compare that to what's going on here with these Troublesome Trucks that I'm yet to unbox. Gently, of course. Everything's far more difficult when you haven't got a rubber chicken, I've noticed. Oh, okay, got there in the end, and yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting to get the turntable out. Oh, here we go. Yeah, ride this on the turntable with some of that other classic Thomas stuff, yeah. Because we really need to define exactly what classic means. Okay, I've got the turntable set up. On the inside track, I've got the Hit Toy Company Thomas the Tank with its associated Troublesome Trucks. On the outside track, I've got the 80th Anniversary Thomas the Tank with its associated Troublesome Trucks. And between those two Thomases and Troublesome Trucks, there's basically a 20-year gap. Just before I get rolling, I've got a delay here. Of course, the whippersnipper has started next door. Ah yes, the wonders of a wonderfully quiet neighbourhood. Never ceases to amaze me. Okay, I think it's safe to continue now. It seems quiet outside finally, and I will get Hit Toy Company Thomas going first, and then the classic 80th Anniversary Thomas. And what's sort of bizarre is it looks like they're essentially doing the same speeds, but that's an illusion because of the different radiuses involved in the track here. The Hit Toy Company Thomas is quite buzzy in its mechanism sound, and considering they're doing, or the illusion of doing the same speed, it actually makes it very easy to get some nice video of these two Thomases. Just going over the back of the turntable there, and the Hit Toy Company Thomas is just pulling away. from the 80th anniversary Thomas, and it's going to do that strange thing where it looks like they're going backwards. It's sort of one of those kooky illusions of the turntable. But yeah, that 80th anniversary Thomas is a very, very, very nice looking Thomas. It's probably one of the best that we've seen in a very, very, very long time. So which one of these Thomases does your eye go to and sort of say classic? There's nothing wrong with the Hit Toy Company Thomas, and as I said before, there's no need to change it really. But hey, it seems like we change things up, we change things down. But finally we've had a nice change for the better by the look of the 80th anniversary Thomas. I just get some shots of the Troublesome Trucks, the Hit Toy Company Troublesome Trucks, which were also branded as Mattel as well, and we're about to be blanked off by the Troublesome Trucks from the 80th anniversary Thomas. And you might be thinking they're fine and dandy as well. The Hit Toy Company Thomas seems to be waking up a bit, and originally when I was going to do this review it was going to be all about the Thomases and all about the Troublesome Trucks. And then I started to realise something. Of course the 80th anniversary Thomas comes with two wonderful Troublesome Trucks. I thought that's fantastic. I can pull off something like that. That's a TOMY Thomas there with Troublesome Trucks. No problem at all. I could pull off Thomas All Engines Go with Troublesome Trucks as well. But then I started to realise, that's weird. I couldn't pull off showing you a Trackmaster 2 Thomas with Troublesome Trucks from that era. It had me really spooked, and I thought, well, maybe I could cheat it and I could bring in a little metal Thomas like this from this kooky era and use those Troublesome Trucks there to connect to my Trackmaster 2 Thomas and say, hey, look, he does have Troublesome Trucks. Let me just shut down these two. My God, that Hit Toy Company Thomas is noisy. Let me get the 80th anniversary onto the inside track, and let me just set up a Trackmaster 2 Thomas with these Troublesome Trucks. And that's the packaging for that Troublesome Truck there. It's a very strange era. It's when the Push Alongs and the Motorized or whatever were all meshed together. It says Push Along here, Troublesome Truck metal vehicle, Trackmaster up here. And the back of the packaging looks like this. Maybe some nice memories for you there. 2019 era. And let's rejoice, the back of the card there actually tells you other things you can purchase. I mean, rejoice in that simple idea. You can also see that the Push-Alongs and the Motorized meshed together, ran on the same track. It was all working in harmony all of a sudden. Isn't that wonderful? But this was a very, very strange Troublesome Truck. And I know a lot of people have spoken about this Troublesome Truck here, and it was a strange era of Thomas and Friends. This playset came along, sorry for the glare, it says 2020. Okay, and this is a curious playset because on the box here you can see Thomas. This is a push-along Thomas, and it's almost like they're embarrassed of the scale of the Troublesome Truck here, so he's pushed away and hidden away there. But you can see a proper idea of scale in a sense there. Okay, so obviously the Troublesome Truck is way bigger than the Thomas, and yeah, scaling's been a bit of an issue, I dare say. And on the back here you get a bit of a picture here, and again the scaling there, it's shouting out as looking wrong. A lot of people say scaling doesn't matter, children don't notice it. I think that's wrong. I think scaling is very important, especially when you're dealing with little toy trains. Let me get this Troublesome Truck out, because it is the only Troublesome Truck that I've got, I'll call it, of something that would mesh with Trackmaster 2. And remember, not long after this came All Engines Go. Okay, I'm going to show you all of my rolling stock of Trackmaster 2 to prove a point as well. Okay, let me pull this out of this bag. This Troublesome Truck's going to be very happy to get out of its plastic prison. I can't breathe! Get me out of here! I need to cause trouble! I'm free to cause trouble! Yeah, so this Troublesome Truck, for me, is the only one that I've got that's plasticky like this, like Trackmaster 2 with its Trackmaster 2 wheels. Okay, that's before All Engines Go, remember that? And there was something that was devoid in all of the Trackmaster 2 rolling stock that I've ever purchased. So let's take a look at that next. Okay, this plastic tub here contains my Trackmaster 2 rolling stock, and I'm going to undo this, pour it out, and we're going to try to find some Troublesome Trucks amongst this, eh? Oh, there's certainly some memories in here, I can tell you. Oh, yeah. Oh, I remember that playset. Very forgettable. Let me just pull the wagons aside from all the other riffraff. I have put back into the tub all the things that can't possibly be a Troublesome Truck. And I have extracted, of course, all the things that could become Troublesome Trucks. I have got the wagons facing in the right direction. And I have got 26 missed opportunities of trucks that really should have been Troublesome Trucks. Well, one thing I'll say is at least there's a variety of colours there, but there's something strange about that elephant there. It looks very, very familiar. And remember, that's what we're looking for. There's nothing hard about doing that, is there? How simple, put a face on a wagon. But it's too freaking hard! I'm pretty sure even Bubble could have sorted the Troublesome Truck out on that Trackmaster 2 stuff, but hey, you know, how hard would it be to do it right? Let me get all this back in its box. I don't know, it just annoys me. Missed opportunities all the time. Let me know if I'm wrong. Maybe there was playsets and stuff that never hit the marketplace where I live, which often happens. Maybe you've got Troublesome Trucks in the Trackmaster 2 line, unlike me. It's a great little Troublesome Truck. If only it had more wobbles and everything. In fact, the 80th anniversary trucks didn't wobble. And there it is against that strange metal vehicle Troublesome Truck, just to show you that the scale there is very similar. And that's why it was so awkward when it was put with the Thomas like that. It just made no sense. I'll just quickly give a run of the Trackmaster 2 Thomas with the metal vehicle. Trackmaster Troublesome Trucks. We won't look at this very long because it's really a sad case of multiple missed opportunities. It's actually struggling there because they're die cast. They're quite a well-built Troublesome Truck. But nevertheless, one last look at it as it goes by there. Okay, I think we've seen enough. I'll just capture this on the way through, and we're going to swap out because I've just had a brainwave, and I should have picked up on this before, and there's a train wreck there. I'm going to get the all engines go Thomas. It actually came in a Muddy Thomas 3-pack, but only one of the pieces was Troublesome Truck. God, I hope I'm right there. I know you're going to crucify me if I'm wrong, but yes, when we look at these Troublesome Trucks versus the 80th anniversary one, it's going to be very interesting. Okay, I'll get Thomas all engines go, or Trackmaster 3 going, with the Troublesome Trucks wobbling like that. And I'll get the Trackmaster 4 80th anniversary Thomas going there. And that's weird because now I notice the Troublesome Trucks are sort of boring. Look, I know one of the Thomases is very hard to look at, but the Troublesome Trucks that are wobbling are not. Talking about missed opportunities, wow. It's got you thinking, hasn't it? Ooh, wow. If only. Yeah, so strangely, where does your eye go when you're looking at all this on the turntable? I know where mine's going. Let me just entertain you and let me swap some stuff around here. Maybe you know where this is going. Okay, the 80th anniversary Thomas with the Leo modification on the Troublesome Trucks. And please let me know if I should go and get a job at Mattel. What do you think about that there? Do you like it? Such a simple change, and it's made such a big difference in the way it plays out. It's not rocket science, making these wonderful Thomas toys just a little bit more interesting. But why isn't this sorted out by the toy company? Or maybe I've got it all wrong. Maybe you can't stand the look of that there. Please let me know. And the Troublesome Trucks in the middle there are from the 80th anniversary 3-pack. Look, there's nothing wrong with them. It's just a shame they're not wobbling like those Troublesome Trucks. It makes a massive difference. I'll tell you what I'll do, and I'd like to do this. Let me just close this down. I'm going to reset the 80th anniversary back with the Troublesome Trucks that it goes with, plus the cargo there, and I'm going to give the TOMY Thomas with the Troublesome Trucks here a run with the 80th anniversary Thomas. Okay, on frame there, in a sense I've got two classic Thomas the Tanks, and if you want to understand how to spell the word classic, it's spelled like this, T-O-M-Y. We'll listen to this beautiful TOMY Thomas. Is going to bring back a lot of good memories first. I'll tell you what, that TOMY is tearing up the tracks. I'll get the 80th anniversary going as well. Okay, yeah, double classic Thomas. It sounds spectacular. I'll tell you what, that TOMY Thomas is tearing up the tracks. I reckon its speed isn't that different to the 80th anniversary, and I'm calling it Trackmaster 4 Thomas. If I put them on the same track, let's see who's faster than who now. Very interesting indeed. Wow, that TOMY Thomas is catching up with the 80th anniversary Thomas. That's going to give those Troublesome Trucks the nudge, and sometimes when things nudge, things start to get troublesome. It's weird, we're always sold on the fact that the Trackmaster stuff was faster, more performance. Let's put the Trackmaster 2 Thomas on the track so you just see how it's going to mesh in with everything. Oh, that's weird. The TOMY Thomas is still pushing there. I just don't understand that. The TOMY Thomas is the fastest thing on the turntable when you look at it like that. Okay, let me put on the all engines go Thomas. I mean, it's meant to be, yeah, higher performance, faster, blah blah blah. Of course, I can add the Hit Toy Company Thomas now. I think it's a bit of a slow catch, but hey, I could be totally wrong. What? Well, that's really thrown me. There's a lot of things there I don't understand, because we're always sold that Trackmaster 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is going to be better performance and blah blah blah, and climbs hills and goes faster, and well, TOMY seems to be the fastest thing on the turntable. I can start to see things starting to buckle, and maybe if I add a few things onto this, mind you, the Trackmaster 2 is starting to depart here. I'll put this one on, eh? It's not powered, but it's going to cause a train wreck, I hope. Or is it just going to get pushed along? Oh God, okay. That doesn't make any sense either. I think I can have that saying, well, you don't see this on YouTube every day, and thank God for that, eh? But it's just the strangest lot of train activity on the turntable, and I'm just waiting for something to snap. What else can I add to the chaos? Okay, maybe if I come over here. They're fairly heavy. I'm sure they're going to... Oh, okay, we've got a bit of... Trackmaster 2 Thomas there is starting to go AWOL. So you got the shaft from pushing the push along. I've got to really think about the names here. It's bloody confusing, I can tell you. Oh my goodness me. I'd hate to turn away. Anything could happen. And because that Trackmaster 2 Thomas is dragging, the 80th anniversary is catching up with it. It's going to probably give it the nudge. Well, here we go. Okay. Making a great sound, I know that. I'm just waiting for something to go horrifically wrong. There's so much tension going on in that area right there. Oh my goodness me. Okay, I think I can add something to this train wreck to cause a train wreck if I do this like that there. Okay, here we go. wonder who's going to be the last one standing. Oh my god. Can I say this twice in the video? You don't see that on YouTube every day. Thank God for that as well. So that's All Engines Go Thomas, and I'm pretty sure that's Hit Toy Company Thomas the Tank giving it the shaft, which should have happened decades ago. Oh, okay, looks like, mate, I'm going to give this win. The win is All Engines Go Thomas. Oh, hang on, it hasn't finished yet. They're still arging and barging here. Okay, well, it's back to doing that. Yeah, well, we'll call it a tie, hey? I know you won't like that. But I'm going to call that a tie. Just seeing what went on there. I'm a bit curious about the speed of all these now. I'm quite surprised how, especially how fast the TOMY was. Let me just get the Thomases up here on the turntable in the order that I think I remember the speeds, and we'll just see what happens. Remember, we were always sold that it's this version of Thomas here was the faster, high performance, blah 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 blah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw the TOMY Thomas was doing all right. Let me just sort it all out. The Trackmaster 2 occasionally just gets a bit of a lever and gets ahead. I'm just going to grab the one at the very back to prove a point here. It's the Hit Toy Company Thomas. Okay, it's the nicest looking one in the sense that I'm just going to set this up. It's got the whirring sound as well. I'm just going to set it up right at the front just to prove a point here. Okay. Well, look at that there. Wow, okay. And I'm not cheating anything. Let me just stand back here so you can see I'm not touching anything here. Very, very interesting, very surprising. And if you want to talk about battery brands, all I'll say is they've got all the same branded batteries, and they're all from the same batch or packets, if that makes any sense. I'm not going to talk brands, I'm not going to talk where I bought them, because I'm not paid for that. And I'm not going to send you to an Amazon affiliate link to buy the blasted batteries either. Thank God for that, eh? Remember, we were sold on the fact that this is faster or better. Let me get one of the packagings to Trackmaster 2. Okay, I've got a Trackmaster 2 packaging in box there. Let me just prove this one more time to you. Let me just grab the TOMY and the Hit Toy Company, and I'm going to set them at the front here. Wow, I'm just gobsmacked, to be honest. Okay, let's just set that up there. Remember, we've got two of the oldest little Thomases on the track there. Now, which ones are going faster? Which ones are going slower? Flippin' hell. And just to prove a point, let me put the All Engines Go Thomas right at the front here. Okay. So we've got that going like that. Really, these three, which are all the same sort of core, are all sort of doing the same. And you might say, well, these sort of have the same core, but one's sort of like a clone of the other one. That is the Hit Toy Company being the clone of the TOMY. Well, that's how it's looking. The TOMY and the Hit Toy Company have caught up with the 80th anniversary, and the All Engines Go Thomas is now starting to kick into gear. Although I think that gap is starting to close up. It has little spurts where it thinks it can, but then it can't, if you know what I mean. Okay, yeah. Very, very interesting. Let's now take a look at that packaging right there. Okay, there's the Trackmaster 2 boxing there. What does it say up the top first? Redesign engines faster and more realistic. Well, we can disagree with all of that. And down the bottom there it says motorized engine, enhanced performance, faster and steeper. Well, I think we can disagree with all of that now. Well, I better add this into the whole conundrum of who goes faster than who. And I know you're going to say, but Leo, you never tested the other style of classic Trackmaster, and that is the Mattel-made version of Thomas. And it's this one here. I put a battery in it. It just takes a 1 AA battery. Already established that the Hit Toy Company Classic Trackmaster is a good performer. And remember, we were always told that Trackmaster 2 was all about speed. Well, a very simple test will be to do this. This is the Mattel made Classic Trackmaster versus Trackmaster 2. So in a sense we've got, well, this came before that. Let's see who's faster. And it's going to take a little bit of time to play out here, but eventually one of these will catch up with the other one. Well, Trackmaster 2 is on its native track. The Classic Trackmaster Mattel made one is on a different style of track, although it is very similar, and I would say that the Mattel made Classic Trackmaster is going to catch up with the Trackmaster 2, which is also Mattel made Thomas. Wow, we were sold a furphy, I dare say, in the whole thing about Trackmaster 2 being betterer. How did we fall for that? Maybe I need to show you the battery setups in these Thomases, or else people will say, but Leo tricked up the older Thomases to perform better. Well, I'm just going to show you exactly what's going on here. We're not talking brand names. I've turned the batteries around so you cannot see what brand the battery is. They are all brand new batteries. Okay, the TOMY Thomas is a AA. The Hit Toy Company Thomas was also a AA. In a sense, they're very similar. We already discussed that earlier in the video. The next three are also very similar, the same style of core. It was like the redesign from hell. Okay, Trackmaster 2 has got 2 AAAs. Trackmaster 3, all engines go Thomas, has got 2 AAAs. And Trackmaster 4 80th Anniversary Thomas has also got 2 AAAs. Let me get these Thomases back together and I'll shoot some slow motion of the beautiful 80th anniversary with its Troublesome Trucks and some little different things that I did here in slow motion because it's going to look beautiful. And yeah, I've got a few things to say at the moment, which I think are important to listen to. Okay, unfortunately, the first thing I'm going to talk about is a fairly serious thing, and I've already had trouble on my channel where people think it's smart to either have a go at me or other people who comment in relation to Charlie Kirk's assassination. And if anybody is there supporting the assassin, it just proves to me you lack any style of moral code, just as the assassin lacked any style of moral code. I've already moved on a few people who thought they're going to be clever, and I'm going to be extremely strong and strict on this one. And these are the styles of people I don't want to have any sort of connection to. I don't want them having any verbal on my channel. I've only just watched the memorial service for Charlie Kirk. It played in Australia in the morning time, and to see Mrs. Erica Kirk give forgiveness to the shooter, I could not get my head around that. That's something that personally I couldn't pull off. The lesson I learned from that is Erica's one hell of a strong woman, and I think it's someone to keep a keen eye on from this point on, because Charlie Kirk's assassination is snowballing into something much, much bigger. So to move on and talk about this Thomas and Friends Greatest Moments 3-pack. First up, sorry for taking so long to take a look at this. I was trying to find a nice looking Thomas the Tank, as I explained in this video, and that sent me down a massive bunny hole of looking at a lot of other reviews. And the problem there is, and this is a little rule that I've got about doing reviews on YouTube, is I will not go and look at somebody else's review, because in the end I'll just become a parrot or almost an echo of what other people say. And I always like to think that if I'm going to say something about something online, it's going to be original, and it's not going to be something that somebody else has already said. What started to throw me when I looked at other people discussing this 80th anniversary Thomas and reviewing the 3-pack was I could see the fault on the Thomas that they had in their hands, yet the people looking at this Thomas rarely ever spoke about the line work being incorrect, often crashing into the running board. And I think what was going on is, because this is such a jarring change from the all engines go Thomas, which was the ultimate train wreck, we've gone from one of the ugliest Thomases to one of the most beautiful in one move. And I think that's been a little bit like smoke and mirrors, and a lot of people are stunned by that, and they're not critically looking at what's been served up. As you know, for me, it was a very difficult collectible to find in store, and I think a lot of people who reviewed it on YouTube, they had ordered it online, so whatever lands in your lap is what you show. And remember, for me, because I'm finding this product in store, I've got the option: either I leave it on the shelf if I think the line work's not right, or I just keep hunting for one where the line work is correct, that is, what I can see in box. and then present that to YouTube because I want to present the best looking version of this beautiful Thomas the Tank. And the revelation to me was understanding that even though one side is going to look good, as we saw in this video, once I unboxed it, the other side, it could have been done a little bit better. But then again, I'm a very hard marker. So this review, as you can see, has been very different to what I would normally serve up. Did you notice there was no in-hand appraisal? And I thought to myself, what's a fair comparison, really, to put Thomas All Engines Go hard up against this 80th anniversary Thomas would be very cruel. And I always thought back to the Hit Toy Company Thomas as being one of the all-time, and I'll use that beautiful word, classics. And I got so spooked trying to understand the Troublesome Trucks in the Trackmaster 2 realm, and I thought to myself, well, where are they? I couldn't find them amongst what I had. And I think what's been served up in this pack is something that we've had before, but it's been dressed up in a nicer way. That's maybe the best way to say it. And the other bizarre part was when I was searching for people who reviewed this 3-pack on YouTube, it was very hard. I could maybe find 6 reviews very easily, but to find, let's say, 15 reviews, 20 reviews, 25 reviews, I had to dig the site really, really hard. And it goes back to that YouTube is excellent and expert at hiding videos away in a search. It's so annoying. The YouTube search will give you a couple of things you're looking for, and then it's almost all total distraction, things that have nothing to do with the search query of, let's say, Thomas the Tank 80th anniversary greatest moments 3-pack. Yet I'm served videos that talk about how to make muffins. I mean, explain that. I'm a curious person. I like to understand how things are made. I like to understand how things fail. And because I've now got a number of these 3-packs, and not all of them are marked 80th anniversary. In fact, the one that I opened in this video had no 80th anniversary stamp. I'm going to pull all of the Thomases out of the 3-packs. I'm going to build a rig on the bench that locks down the Thomas body, and I'm also going to lock off the camera to that rig so nothing moves. So each time I present a Thomas body into the rig, the camera is going to see Thomas in the same spot, but it's going to start to reveal to us how the line work and also the weathering effect and how the eyes are printed is a little bit different on each model, and you'll be surprised about the weathering effect or that mottling effect they have on it. There is a lot of variation there. Sometimes variation is great, and hey, I don't mind if there's some derpy eye action going on as well. I like to collect things like that. I think the printing on these models is done with a fast-drying UV curing type of ink, which has got a bit of a 3D feel if you rub your finger over the model. And there is a manufacturing code up underneath inside this model as well that I don't understand. I did look online and I just went down bunny holes that got deeper and deeper and deeper. Maybe it's too smart-ass to present these different models in a chronological order, but my gut feeling is that the Thomases that I've got in the 3-packs were all made in a fairly short time frame. And the one thing I can see, there is definitely a repeating style of error where the line work is jarred in the same way across multiple models. There's almost like there's 3 different ways the line work is done wrong, and I'm starting to see a repeated pattern of that. That's the plan forward in this. It's going to take a little bit of time to sort that out. Anyway, if you can help me at all with the codes on these Thomases, that is the Motorized Trackmaster 4 type, as I call it, I would very much like to understand the code, but it's not an imperative. And as I've always known for many years, the audience knows more than me, and hopefully, occasionally, I can teach the audience something as well. Hopefully, in time, the inconsistencies with the line work can be sorted out, because it's so disappointing for something to be so amazing to look at has got this nagging error that is happening on just about everything I pick up. I would have loved to have shown on YouTube a hero version of this beautiful collectible, but as yet, I have not found one.
Flipping hell! Guess who was the last loser to bring this 3-pack to YouTube? Guess who? Yep, this frippin' loser right here! Oh my frippin' god! There he is, going on about Red Line Way and the perfect Thomas and hero and stuff! Oh, but give me a frickin' break! This guy's frippin' delusional! And he doesn't work out that this is, well, guess what this is? Guess what this frippin' Thomas is? Have you worked it out? Come closer and I'll whisper it in your little ear. Come closer, but be very careful. Guess what? This Thomas is, I'll whisper it, it's a toy. Did you hear me? I'll say it one more time.